Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Matt L. And today we're going to be doing another Axes and Allies video. Today we're going to be discussing Axes and Allies Europe 1942nd edition. Today we're going to be looking at all the units from all the countries. If you only notice one French unit. That is because the French units, only their infantry is different from the Russians. All French units besides infantry are the same. They're the same as the Russian units. Okay, so sorry if I butcher these names, so I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to be reading from the game piece directory. I'm going to be reading the names. So we're going to start off with infantry, which I don't have to read names of. You have the Russian infantry, which is a very nice it looks like it's a snow uniform that they're using for this. So that's cool. You have the French soldier, which is kind of a trench coat. The American soldier, holding his rifle up in the air, looking like he's ready to march. You have the British soldier, who looks like he's preparing to charge over the top. Almost looks similar. Then you have the Italian, which is very stiff, he looks like, and he has a very big weapon. Then you have the German soldier, which is kind of in march mode. You can see his rifle. Oh, sorry. So, push those aside. Okay, now we got on to the name pronunciation. I'm probably only going to know a lot from the US and Britain, but I'm going to try my best. So, for Russia, we're going to start off with mechanized infantry. So, this is the ZIS 42 half-track. For the US, this is the M5. For Britain, this is the Priest. For Italy, this is the SPA Dovenq 35. And for the Germans, this is the SDK FZ 251 half-track. Sorry if I said this wrong. Okay, moving on to the Russians. These are all tanks. So this is the Russian T-34, the U.S. Sherman tank, the British Matilda Mark II, the Italian M1542, and then the iconic German Panther. Put those aside, moving on to artillery. For the Russians, we have the 152mm howitzer. The Americans, we have a 105mm howitzer. The British, we have a 25-pounder. For the Italians, we have the Canone 7532. And for the Germans, we have the 10.5cm howitzer. So, push those away. Then we have the anti-aircraft weapons. Starting off with the Russians, we have the M1939 85mm. For the United States, we have the M190mm. For the British, we have the QF 3.7-inch. For the Italians, we have the Canone 9053. And for the Russians, we have the Flak 41 8.8cm. So, now we look at air units. Starting off with fighters. For the Russians, we have the MiG-3. For the United States, we have the P-38. For Britain, we have the submarine Spitfire, or just the Spitfire, whatever you want to call it. For Italy, we have the C-202. And for the Germans, we have the Bf-109. Okay. These are, I believe, tactical bombers. So the Russians, IL-2 Sturmovik. The Americans, we have the SBD, the Mosquito for the British. The Italians, we have the SM-79. And the Germans have the Ju-87 Stuka. Now, these are some of the biggest models in the game. These are strategic bombers. The Russians, we have the the Peltyakov P8. For the United States, we have the B-17. For Italy, we have the P-108. And for Germany, we have the Ju-88. Now we move on to naval ships. First, transports. For the Russians, we have the Baltic Timber Ship. For the Americans, we have the Liberty Ship. The British have the same thing, just kind of like the situation with the French. For Italy, we have the Iridio Mantovani, and for the Germans, we have the Hilfscruiser. I'm probably butchering these names right now. Now we move on to cruisers. For the Russians, we have the Kirov. For the Americans, we have the Portland. For the British, we have the Kent. For the Italians, we have the Zara. And for the Germans, we have the Hipper. We move on to destroyers. For the Russians, we have the Genevi. I'm sorry, I butchered the name so much. For the U.S., we have the Johnston. Hold up. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. This is the Portland for the United States. For the British, we have the Samoras. For the Italians, we have the... I mixed these up. So that's the Zara. And then for the Germans, this is the Hipper. I always get those two confused. So, sorry about that. Now we move on to subs. For the Russians, this is the Srednyaya. For the U.S., this is the Ray. For the British, this is the Truculent. For the Italians, this is the Marconi. And for the Germans, this is the Type 7. And finally, battleships. For the Russians, I forgot aircraft carriers, but that's not a big deal. For the Russians, we have the Gagnot. For the U.S., we have the Iowa. For the British, we have the Royal Oak. For the Italians, we have the Littorio. And for the Germans, we have the Bismarck. So just to give you a look at the aircraft carriers, we have the Wasp, the Illustris, same as UK, skipping Anzac, the Grand Zeppelin, and then for the Italians, that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. I do have Pacific 1940 coming soon, so I'll make a bunch of videos about that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.